So, cyberpunk theme still, because I want to say that the first 3 episodes of Andor, when they're showing all of the different planets and stuff like that, has a very kind of cyberpunky little bit feel in the Star Wars universe.
It
And
does,
I'm here for it.
I'm appreciating it, and I agree with you 1,000%. It does have a very cyberpunky feel because the bad guy is actually a corporation.
Yes.
It's an evil corp who's sending their security people to murk people because they're jerks.
Well, and not only that too. I mean, the Empire could be basically the largest corporation in the galaxy too, if you think about it. So I think here's the thing. And I'm gonna spoil a little. Have you seen episode 4, or do I need to not spoil too much?
Go.
Okay. This is your one chance. It's spoilery warning kind of thing that's happening right now. But the thing that I love about this particular show is a full-on spy thriller at this point. We're getting to the heist. Like we've done all the backstory. Episodes 1 through 3, they were absolutely right to release them all because this is a slow burn kind of play, and I'm okay with that because Rogue One was kind of a slow burn as well. And man, look at how that ended, right? Like if this is the type of storytelling that we're getting with no Jedi, no Mandalorians, and things like that, and we're actually getting to see what it's like for people to live under the rule of the Empire and why the rebellion became what it became. Woo! Can we get seasons 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of this, please?
So they said that season 2 is completely structured out. Like they've got the arc. It's done.
Yep.
And season 2 has already been greenlit by the good old folks over at Disney. So we know we're getting season 2. Season 2 is happening. My understanding is that this first season is supposed to take place roughly over the course of a year. And then season 2, every 3 episodes will be a year, bouncing forward until at some point before they're over, it will be right before the events of Rogue One.
Yeah. Which I love that they even called out Scarif. And they even hinted at it. They were like, a lot of things are being, a lot of resources being diverted to Scarif and stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, we know why, because the fucking Death Star is being made over there. That's amazing. Like, but it was like just like a 2-second, like, boom, just to let you know, just to put you position, even though they said it was, 5 BBY, like just to position you exactly where the hell this thing is happening. We're just giving you little clues along the way. And I was like, that's really well done. That's really well done writing. And I kind of hope that we're going to get that out of like the Mandalorian and stuff like that as well too, because we're seeing it from a different side. But this one's been fantastic so far.
Oh no, absolutely. It is definitely meeting with the generally high level quality we've seen out of the Star Wars stuff coming out of Disney on the TV side.
Yep.
Yeah, I have no complaints. I love Diego Luna. I think he's great in the role. I think the rest of the cast has been great. I can't wait till we find out how he finds K2SO. That's like, I am just chomping at the bit for that episode. I want it so bad.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about the fact that he's got to find him along the way. You're right.
Yeah, he's got to get K2. And so like I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the other stuff. I'm glad that there's these parallels in the character, because if you remember back to Rogue One, when we first see Cassian, he's meeting with his contact and thing like that, and the Stormtrooper comes up, and then he shoots his contact in the back, right? Like we see from minute 1 that Cassian is this very like no nonsense, I will murk you kind of dude, and we see that in the first episode of Andor when those guards are screwing with him. Now in this particular case, but he had the guard dead to rights. Like the one guy was surrendering, and Cassian was like, "Nah, screw it," and bless him in his head. And
he did a heck of murder.
He did, and it's great. And I love the fact, and again, credit to them for not trying to water this down. Because they could be like, oh, super nice and gentle. No, they're like, no, he just straight murders people.
Yeah. Well, and it's the choreography for that fight wasn't very polished. It was this is how you win a street fight, and if you've ever been in a street fight, you kind of know what that's like, right? Like, and I think that adds to the realness and the grittiness of it. Is like, this guy's not a trained Jedi. He's barely a trained soldier.
I don't even think he's a trained soldier. He's a dude who learned some shit when he was a kid and has probably forgot half of it.
Well, no. So in episode 4, you get a bit of more of his backstory, because you learn that he was basically on the same, I'm going to get the planet wrong. He was on the same planet as Han Solo, because remember Han Solo spent time actually learning how to be.
That's right.
So you get a little bit of that kind of callback to it. So like he's got some training, but we all know that stormtroopers can't hit shit. So like let's be real about how well that training probably went, you know? So I just think that it's an interesting sort of play, the parallels that they're making with some of this stuff, because he very much could have been the Han Solo kind of character, but he went in the other way. And I love that he's like a mixture of Han Solo and Saul Guerrero, like smacked together.
I think we're getting Saw at some point this season too.
I think we are.
Forrest Whitaker's back, which I'm also looking forward to. That one is seeing Forrest Whitaker again, because I love Forrest Whitaker.
Here's the thing too, when it comes to like the little call outs here. So I picked up on this in this episode. They were talking, you know, that big circle table that they were sitting at, and everybody was dressed in white, and they were talking about all the bureaucratic bullshit they were going through. And they mentioned Ryloth. Ryloth is home to, what was the guy's name that served Jabba the Hutt?
Bib Fortuna. He's a Twi'lek.
Twi'leks, yes.
It's the home world of the Twi'leks.
Home world of the Twi'leks, which we saw it in Clone Wars. Rebels being liberated from the Separatists to only be put into prison camps by the same people that liberated them, who will then probably go on to be liberated by the rebels in the future. And yes. But that little bit, and this is all of that little bit of thread though, and this is why I think it's such a well-written show. That little bit of thread, if you think about the entirety of the human existence, and this calls back specifically to colonialism, the way that the Empire goes in, disrupts a culture, pulls everything apart, and then tries to put it back together in its own image. This is like the playbook. And knowing the basics of the Empire, like what was the original, the origins behind it and stuff like that, they're just adding all of this stuff that like was probably in like the old EU books and in comics and things like that, all of these kind of origin stories, but like how beautifully they've been able to just put in little details that if you pull it apart and you think about it, it's like, holy shit, like this is real, man. This is like real stuff.
The nice thing about The Mandalorian, and more so with Andor, is they're making the universe feel a lot more lived in. Yep. You're definitely feeling like there's more to this universe than the 9 planets we have seen before. I swear to God, if he goes back to Tatooine, I'm going to storm Disney.
Thank God they haven't gone back to Tatooine yet.
He doesn't need to. Please.
He doesn't need to go. No. The heist isn't going to happen on Tatooine, so we don't need to worry.
He never needs to set foot on Tatooine. Okay. And I'm glad that we've seen other planets. That's what I want. I want new stuff. That's where I want him to go, and I'm glad that they're doing that now. They did it with Rogue One. They did it with this. They're doing it with Andor. Let's go. Come on, Star Wars. Like, keep it up. And I'm glad we're getting a spy thriller again. It's what we need right now for Star Wars, especially with the complete lack of movies.
Yes. And more that just got canceled, because didn't they fully cancel Rogue Squadron now? Like basically, it's been removed from the production slate. Okay.
They have not officially said we are never ever going to do it again with Patty Jenkins, but yes, it has been. They're not even bothering to remove it from, or to give it a new release date. It's just been removed.
Okay. It's interesting to see, just like it continues to kind of go back to it, is like, because it came out earlier today too. I think it was like earlier today or yesterday that like Disney wants to basically put out a AAA Star Wars game every 6 months now.
Cool.
Right. They've got plenty of shit that they've all canceled back. Well, I won't say they have plenty of ideas that have been canceled, including 1313 and some other really, really good ones.
So Fallen Order was good.
Yep.
Squadrons was good.
We're getting another Fallen Order type game, aren't we?
Fallen Order's getting a sequel. You have the one that's being done, Eclipse, I think, that's by Quantic Dream. There's a couple others that have been announced. And I think it's fine. I'm glad that they've taken it away from EA completely. I'm glad that it's not just EA.
Yep.
Okay, let's give us some new development teams. Let's see what other people can do in the universe. Again, I think it's good.
I'd
like to see a movie.
But this is what I'm getting at too. So first of all, I'd love to see Activision, as much as I don't like COD, and I played the new COD recently. I don't like it. but as much as I would love it, they could do a Battlefront and do it well. Like, their gunplay is much better than anything that EA Dice can bring.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see a gritty kind of, like, I'd love to see a gritty, and every Call of Duty is a, like, sprite fest, like explosion Michael Bay kind of film. Like, give one to them and just let you be on the front lines of the rebellion, Andor style, and you've got to do all these types of missions and stuff like that. Just put a blaster in your hand and let's go. Let's see what they can do with it.
Let's just go back 200 years. Come on. You can switch off levels just like you did in some of the Modern Warfare stuff. And one level you're a Jedi, and another one you're a Republic soldier, a commando, and you're doing all kinds of fun stuff. And you could go back like way, way before the Empire and explore whole new eras where there's different shit.
I would love a New World style game. So RPG, action RPG style game. That is first or third person in there. That is a la SWTOR. Like, if you did a SWTOR style game, but with the rough engine of New World, where you actually had to, like, time your jumps and aim and things like that. I don't want to be a button masher, per se. But imagine, like, your classes are like your Mandalorians, your Jedi, stuff like that. Like, that would be a banger of a game.
So you want, like, an open world KOTOR?
I think you could do an open world KOTOR and it would do really, really well in this type of live service environment. Back in the day, it was great for mods and it was great for, like, LAN parties and things like that. But I think you can do it today.
Do you want it to be an MMO or do you want it to just be an RPG?
People ruin everything sometimes.
That's why I ask.
I think, though, that I think you'd have a better shot at a live service style game if you did it with MMO.
I'm saying I don't think you need to do a live service. So you know who I would give that to right now? I don't know if you've played the more recent ones. I would totally give that to Ubisoft. I would be like, Ubisoft, give me an Assassin's Creed Star Wars game. Because Odyssey and Valhalla, like adding in the mystical and doing all that stuff, I really think, and they incorporated all those RPG elements into Odyssey or Origins and Valhalla, that I really think that with that structure, that framework that Ubisoft's created for those Assassin's Creed games, you could get a really, really good Star Wars game out of that.
I'd be interested. I haven't played Valhalla. I saw a little bit of Odyssey, but I kind of burned out on the Assassin's Creed kind of style with it. But a Skyrim Assassin's Creed style thing where there's, like, you could just keep putting content on. Because if you just put it in, like, Coruscant, or you went Coruscant and a few other worlds and stuff like that, like, that alone, that's enough to give you content, and you could do... The only thing I'd talk about with, like, a live service or, like, something that would, like, almost GTA-esque, where, like, here's the heists that you do, and there's more heists that come out, and you do these micro drops that help you keep the game fresh and stuff.
Let's go. Like, you really could do, like, 3 planets, and you could really isolate it by being like, look, you're being sent to this planet because blah, and then the hyperlanes close, and that's the story of the game, and so you're stuck.
Right.
So easy to do and not and suspend disbelief, but really give them a really in-depth planet. And you got to give that to Ubisoft. They're good at creating those kind of, like, really in-depth worlds. The other one would be like Take-Two, like, again, with what they did with Red Dead. I think they could do a good job on this type of game. So yeah, give it to Ubisoft for one of those guys to go futz with.
The sword play has to be on point, though, if you're going to do Jedi. That's the only thing.
That's the hardest one to do.
That's the hardest one to do. Yeah.
Even like Fallen Order probably got the closest, and it was a very Souls-esque, like, sword style. So I think it can be done, but that is the hardest thing to do, especially lightsaber to lightsaber combat. Like, going all the way back to the Jedi, the Dark Forces games, Jedi Knight and Jedi Outcasts, like, that's always been kind of a pain in the butt.
I remember downloading the Maul skin pack, and that was, like, the best thing in the world when you could have a double-bladed lightsaber like Darth Maul, and then you could, like, go in there and be like, well, I don't want a red one now, I want, like, an orange one or something like that. And you could finally futz with all of that stuff. Like,
that was something I enjoyed about Fallen Order too, was they let you do a lot of lightsaber customization, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
No, I agree.